Hi, welcome to DTKSS. In this current session, we are going to discuss about cloud computing and models. So before we talk about the cloud computing, we talk about why we need to move our application to the cloud. So before cloud coming into the picture, all the companies will following the traditional hosting model. That is, the company will buy the storage servers and they will set up the virtualization operating system, and whatever the middlewares or runtime is required for the applications will be set up by the company in their own data centers or rented data centers. So in this process, the software company has to estimate the licensing cost, protection of the data, so patching or applying the data protection policies, and frequent upgrade to the latest technologies, and maintenance and upgradation of hardware, and most important thing is find the right skill set at right time. Why? Because of, if you want to do networking or creating the storage for the servers, you need to have the expert skilled developers to implement all those actions. So this is the approach we have implemented all these actions in the traditional hosting. But when it comes to the cloud computing, the cloud computing is a internet based computing where the different services like servers, storage, and applications are delivered to an organization computers and devices through the internet. So when you host your application through the cloud, you can able to access your applications from any place, anytime. So a cloud computing service consists of highly optimized data centers that provides a various hardware and software informations and resources. So as this cloud computing providing the optimized data centers with various hardware and software. So because of this feature, we no need to bother about the complexity of setting up the infrastructure or complexity of creating or hosting the applications. We no need to bother. The cloud computing providing a simple graphical interfaces or APIs, you can able to access your services. So now we talk about, in a cloud computing, what is the models is supported. So IaaS, infrastructure as a service; PaaS, platform as a service; SaaS, software as a service. So now we talk about this IaaS. So in the IaaS, the virtualization, servers, storage, and networking is managed by the cloud provider. So delivers a computer infrastructure, typically a platform virtualization environment as a service. So the cloud providers build data centers, managing power, scale, hardware, networking, storage, and distributing the system etc. So all those actions will be managed by the cloud providers. Rather than purchasing the servers, software, data center space, or network equipment, clients, instead of buying those resources, these all those resources provided by the cloud providers. So you no need to maintain the space for data centers, or you no need to buy the equipments like servers, you no need to buy. So it will be taken care by the cloud providers. Then we talk about the platform as a service. Now if you see that in IaaS, we have to buy our operating system middleware, and we have to create our runtime and middleware we have to create in IaaS. But in a platform as a service, this operating system also managed by the cloud provider. So we no need to bother about operating system cost or the patching to the operating system or upgradation of operating system to the latest technologies. We no need to bother, it will be taken care by the provider. So networking, storage, servers and virtualization, operating systems and setting up the required runtime or middlewares also being taken care by the provider. So in a you just focus on hosting your applications and setting up the data in the platform as a service. You no need to bother rest of all the services. And then one more service is software as a service. In the software as a service, all those steps will be managed by the cloud provider. For example, if you take the Gmail, you no need to bother about when you are using a Gmail, you no need to bother about networking or storage or servers or even operating system or application also you no need to bother, because this is a software as a service which is managed by the Google. So you just use the application as a service and you no need to bother where your data going to store or how the services are running. You don't need to bother. That complexity all be taken care by the cloud provider. So if you observe these cloud computing models, you need when you have to choose these cloud computing models. For example, you want to get a control on your operating system, like which operating system you want to get installed, or you want to manage the operating system level by the system, you can use this IIS. So meaning that the the cloud provider will be taken care by the power and data center and hardware, networking and storage and distributed systems. So rest of all the company has to be taken care. When you choose the platform as a service, you just focus on hosting your applications and setting up the data. Rest of all will be taken care by the cloud provider. For example, when you are hosting your web application in the app service, so when you create a app service, you no need to bother about operating system. When you choose the operating system, the cloud provider will help to create the server with that particular operating system and help you to host that application without any dependencies. All the dependencies also will be created by the cloud provider. You just host that application. That's it. And SaaS service, even you no need to bother anything. You just use that applications hosted by the cloud providers. These are all the SaaS service apps are Microsoft Azure, Gmail, Google apps like Office, Microsoft Office, or Salesforce CRM. So this is about the cloud computing models. So now we talk about the deployment models in the cloud computing. So what is the ways you can deploy your applications in the cloud? You can host your application into the private cloud, or you can host your applications into the public cloud, or you can host your applications into the hybrid cloud. That is the combination of private and public. So now we talk about this private cloud. The private cloud hosting solution, also known as internal or enterprise cloud, resides on a company internet or hosted in a data center where your data is protected behind the firewall. So this is a great option for the companies who already have the expensive data centers because they can use their current infrastructure. So in our traditional approaches, many MNC companies, they will maintain their own data centers because they want to protect their data behind the firewalls. You can go to the private cloud when you have a strict security and data privacy issues. When you are working for a government public environment, public applications, there will be a lot of securities and data policy issues will be there. So that's situations you can go for the private cloud. So the cons in this private cloud is the main drawback people see with the private cloud is that all management, maintenance and upgrading of data centers will be taken care by the company. So you must do the data patches or maintenance of the servers will be taken care by the company. Now we talk about this public cloud. So in this public cloud will be host the applications by the general public, and they exist beyond the firewall of organization, fully hosted and managed by the vendors. Your data is stored in the provider's data centers, but you will not have any control where they are storing your data. You will not have any control, and provider is responsible for management and maintenance of your data centers, because you are sharing your computing resources among the network of users. The public cloud offers the greater flexibility and cost savings. So this is the main advantage when you want to go for the public cloud is you can able to host your applications and you can scale your applications based on the demand, or you can scale down your applications if there is no traffic also. This type of cloud environment is appealing to many companies because it reduces the lead times in testing and deploying the new products. The cons in the public cloud is they are more vulnerable than the private clouds, and there is no control on the resources used or who shares them. So this is the con when you use the public cloud. Generally, generally all banking sectors or government sectors, they will choose to go with the private cloud in order to maintain the security and to avoid the data policy issues. And then we talk about the hybrid cloud. The hybrid cloud is a combination of both public and private cloud. Secure and critical apps are managed by an organization, and not so critical and secure apps are managed by the third party vendors. For example, you can use a public cloud to interact with the clients but keep their data in secured within the private cloud. Nowadays, most of the companies are switching to the hybrid clouds. Ideally, in the situation where you have a plans are to migrate or to complete the cloud solutions as existing hardware expires, or you have some applications or hardwares that are not ready for the cloud. For example, some companies will keep the data into their own private clouds and they will host the applications into the public cloud. The client applications will host into the public cloud. So they will create the connections, or they open up the firewall to these two systems and will transfer the data whatever they are collecting from the public system to the private cloud. So now we discuss about the concept we will talk in the next sessions are compute services like virtual machines or virtual machine scale set, cloud services, containers, container registry and container services, and networking and data storage and Azure PaaS services and the other services like Azure Active Directory domain and multi-factor authentication, automation and etc. And very important thing is Azure Key Vault. So we'll talk all these concepts in our next sessions. Thank you.